This is the Round Table, a talk show brought to you by the Glastonbury Goddess Conference. In this circle, the priestesses of the ceremonial circle, the weavers of our annual gathering, talk about pivotal topics about our community, spirituality, and goddess. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of this season of the Round Table. I'm here today with the ceremonial circle of the Goddess Conference once again. So welcome, Caroline Stevens.
Hello.
Welcome, 𝗟𝗢𝗪𝗘.
Hello.
Welcome, Louise Taria.
Hi.
And today we're here for the second episode 12 in total of our roundtables. And the title today is all about love, or is it? In the second episode, we will be discussing some topics, and we will try to tackle how sacred union is all about love, but how love can mean very different things. Does the concept of sacred union that we carry on in this year's Goddess Conference, does the concept of sacred union challenge the common definition of love, or is it its ultimate manifestation? Does it match the movie like love, or is it like something more than that? And how so? Is sacred union the definitive arrival to love, or can it become a portal, a gate to a new discovery of who we are? So we discussed many times how sacred union, twin flames, they can feel like we finally obtained access to a deeper part of ourselves when we're talking about a relationship, a couple, or a multiple people relationship. Is it a portal? Is it a gate? And again, can a sacred union ignite its own undoing? Meaning, can a sacred union be the portal through which we not only create meaningful relationships, but also we end some of the relationships we built along the way, because we become more in touch with ourselves, so we don't feel that that place is our place anymore. So can a sacred union be let's say a common space where we discover ourselves, and then we leave the room and entering other sacred unions or other relationships or other lifestyles? So many questions, and we are here today with a wonderful panel, and a panel that you will find again live at the Goddess Conference from the 29th of July to the 3rd of August in Glastonbury, Avalon. And again, please check our website, which is goddessconference.com, where you can also buy the tickets for this splendid event. But we go back to the topic now, and we start from 𝗟𝗢. And to tackle today's topic, it will be nice for you to start with something maybe personal, maybe what's your take on it. So when we are thinking about sacred union, and we think about it being infused with love, how would you define love in a sacred union? So is it something like the movie love, or is it movie like love, or is it something different? How would you define love in a sacred union?
Thank you, Andrea. I think when you're talking about movie-like love, I'm assuming you're meaning kind of romantic love.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So romantic love is very beautiful. I'm a big romantic and a big fan of romantic love. And for me, it is just one aspect of love. And really, sacred union points to the big force of love, the cosmic force of love, that is really to come home to ourself as spirit, as not separate from spirit, as interconnected with goddess and with everything, and really this deep state of witness. And so I like it when you're talking about sacred union as a portal, because for me, it really is this portal into deep states of togetherness with ourself, where separation really melts away, and which we can experience in love relationship, but it's not exclusive to a love relationship, and ultimately it happens inside of ourselves, even in love relationship. So for me, sacred union and this is an experience of cosmic love, and it's something that happens very much inside of ourselves, and it is this deep state or experience of togetherness with ourselves.
So it's not necessarily related to the number, to a relationship, or to the number of people in a relationship, but it's related to the fact that we, through sacred union, we access, let's say, this cosmic force that is love, that drives and moves and helps us discover. So it's like, yeah, a gate in a way.
Yes, yeah. I mean, for me, also on a personal level, the essence of spirituality is love. Love is really the force of spirituality. It's what brings us home to the sense of ourselves as whole, and and that we are this incredible expression of spirit in a human physical form.
Yeah, in that regard, the physical form, we talk about, with many times, it means many different things, but when we talk about sacred union specifically, of course, the main reference is a couple, is a physical spiritual connection to a person or more, but let's say for um to a person. So how does that help connecting to the love as a cosmic force? I mean, why do we need that? Why do we need the sacred union to happen between persons for us to access to love in that regard?
I think for me with this one, it's that love relationship with another is, it helps hold a mirror up to me, and really there is for me personally, there's kind of a journey of this. It starts with this oneness that Sadhu referenced. So the sacred union for me starts with a oneness, of coming into union with myself, a deeper understanding of myself. But I think in that oneness, in that union of the parts of myself, there is potentially the risk that I could get lost in my own evolution, if that makes sense. And so having that love relationship with another helps to nurture that union, but also pushes the places that maybe I wasn't prepared to push myself, if that makes sense. So it supports my evolutionary process in one way, and it also enables me to be there to witness, to expand with another as well. So there's very much that aspect of it, I think, for me, when in relationship, in love relationship. But I think for me personally, sacred union begins with me, and those parts of me coming into oneness, into wholeness, togetherness. I love that idea of cosmic love. So that's that kind of expansion then from that place of sacred union with myself to sacred union with Goddess, as beloved. And then from that place of balance is where I personally would then feel, that the love relationship, that kind of really expansion of the heart space into other people, if that makes sense. Yeah. Have I waffled?
Yeah.
I think, Caroline, I'm really struck by the fact that, we only have one word, don't we? We have love and sacred union. And I was kind of thinking about this because, I love ice cream, but I love my kids. And, the same, I don't love my kids in the same way as I love ice cream. And the Greeks were really great at that, weren't they? Because they gave lots of different names to the types of love. So I think if you're thinking about love in that sort of more spiritual sense, I'm probably going to really badly pronounce this because my Greek is not very good, but I think they call it agape, something like that. So that is that cosmic oneness, that empathy for strangers, that ability to love beyond the self in a way that is pure compassion. And for me, sacred union is a lead to opening. We were talking about portals. It's a lead to opening that portal of the heart in a way that is much more allowing of love in its greater sense. And yet at the same time, that doesn't diminish the love relationship that you can feel with another, either in that mirroring, as Caroline was talking about, or within that depth of communion with that person where, you have that sense of merging and becoming one. It may only last, very momentarily or in a fleeting way, but it's there. So I think perhaps in explaining this topic or talking about this topic, actually having access to more vocabulary would be something that would be really useful. And unfortunately, in the English language, we don't have that vocabulary.
I think that's absolutely fascinating because, for example, in place names of the past, there were many words for the word hill, that have now just for us, now it's just a hill. But I think what you said there about that, I love ice cream, but I love my children, that it completely encompasses the fact that the word love. I mean, when I was reflecting on the question for this, I remember I wrote down what is love, and I thought, wow, that's that's a life's journey in itself, isn't it? Just the realization of that. So yeah, I think there is something really curious around linguistics and language, the language of love, that's lost in the English language. Yeah, very much so. Interesting.
And the Victorians had a flower, didn't they, that represented each part of, if you had a yellow flower, I think was that jealousy or something, and you had a red rose, which obviously we're all familiar with, the Valentines and the red rose. And they used the natural world to breed in and broaden that vocabulary for love.
Well, I think it's also very interesting how we have many ways to manifest love that way, and many ways to experience. Again, going back to the beginning of our topic with sadhu, we have many ways in our lives to experience that deep connection with people. And we really focus on the one we have in relationships, in one-to-one relationships or romantic relationships or sexual relationships. But we can access that mirror effect that Caroline was referring to, that like the mirroring that we experience with other people. That happens also with family, that happens with friends. And so we have many tiny portals that can lead us to that love connection. And I wanted to circle back to Sadhu to integrate on his first contribution to this panel. I know you work with couples, you work with men's circles, but you work at large. I mean, as a priest, as a practitioner, you work with a lot of people directly, and I know the warmth of your work with people and in relationships as well. So my question is, has it ever how does it work when you need to deal with the oneness of one person, but that in a way means that they have to end relationships along the way? So how's your experience with that? I mean, so how is that transition? How does that happen? How does it work for people that you work with, but with yourself as well? When you get in touch with your sacred union with yourself, means ending a number of relationships of your life, breaking up or just changing.
Thank you, Andrea. I mean, the invitation of the lover goddess is to really resonate and be the resonance of love. And that takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of hard decision making, and daring to step into ourselves and make difficult choices. And this is really the call of love relationship as well. And ending love relationships is a very courageous choice often. And it takes a lot. But when it comes from this place of deep resonance with our own path, with our own integrity, with our sense of, in order to really love myself and live the love that is inside of me, I need to step out of this relationship, or this relationship has completed. I think it's a very important path and step to take. Yes.
Do you feel like sacred unions are meant to last? When we talk about I was interested today in facing that romantic idea we have of love and relationships as everlasting.
Yes.
In your idea, a sacred union or a good relationship meant to when we refer to sacred union, are we referring to love that will last forever, written in the stars, or is it something that has more to do with a purpose? That was a question. Am I frozen? No.
Yeah, no, I'm
No, that is a deep question. That's a
We're
big
all
question.
thinking.
as a relationship sex and relationship coach, definitely, I think there's a lot of great relationships that don't last forever, and I don't think that's the hallmark of a good relationship. And yeah, love, love relationship is a beautiful gift, and it is alive while it is alive, and when it is complete, it's complete, and that's a very difficult thing to face, but it's a very important thing to face. Whereas I think cosmic love is this, is available to us in every and any moment, and sacred union is a portal into experiencing that cosmic love, to resonate with love.
I also think there's different types, again, going back to the different types of love. You can remember as a teenager, that absolutely all-consuming love that you might feel for another person, that just occupies your entire mind and almost like eats you alive with the thrill of it, that's and that, you could bring yourself into a position where I'm in sacred union with that person because you've met and fallen into that deep completeness. And then there's love that lasts, over generations of time. You bring up children together, you walk your path of love together over many years, and sometimes you don't feel love for that person. Sometimes you just feel annoyance and rage at that person because your lives are so entwined. And for me, it's back to that, where is the when I think of sacred union, it might be that momentarily sacred union where you've come together and something cosmic kind of happens in the moment. But for me, sacred union is very much about bringing the parts of yourself together in order that you can meet the other. So for me, it's not a concept of partnership. And yet, of course, it can emerge within partnership. But I'm very drawn to the sort of teaching around the sort of sacred marriage teaching, which is before you can enter the sacred marriage, before you can enter the marriage chamber, you have to have married the parts of yourself within. And so for me, when I use the word sacred union, that's what I'm meaning. It doesn't mean that's what other people are meaning, but for me, that's what I'm meaning, is that I've come into sacred union within myself, within my, as above, so below. I am that portal place between, the sacred and the mundane, the everyday, the myself that is incarnated in this body at this moment. And so it doesn't mean that you can't find it in relationship, but I struggle with that concept of I found my sacred one, and that's going to last forever into the eons. And I personally struggle with that as a concept. Doesn't mean it's wrong, doesn't mean that it's not true for others, because maybe, it perfectly is. So, yeah.
I would love Carolyn, because Carolyn does an incredible work of uniting hypnotherapy, priestessing, and a natural charm she has. Yes, but she has many talents. But I think you integrate many parts that we, as humans in a society, would perceive as distant, maybe even in a spiritual community, they would fit in different corners of the spiritual world. So you're like bringing them together, and you do it so beautifully. So my question for you, but also for Lewis and Sadhu, is we focus much on the union part of sacred union, bringing it to the context of relationship, but if we focus just on the union part, isn't, if we exclude it as an act and we consider it as a talent, as a capability we have, do you ever find yourself working with the capability of people to unite with other people? Because I feel maybe in your experience with hypnotherapy, there are blocks that you have in yourself that don't allow you to connect with people, to unite, to be one. So
Yeah.
if we focus on that not as an act of I'm united to this or united to him or to her, but I am capable of uniting. So it's not just about love, but it's about the work we need to do with ourselves.
Yeah,
What
I think there's certainly something there around expectations that I encounter quite a lot, about expectations that we have of ourselves in relationship or just in relation to love. So not even in relation to a love with somebody else, but just the whole expectation of what do I as an individual expect of love. And then there are building, our mind creates images around that, creates expectations of sensations, expectations of feelings, experiences, all of those things. And then by constructing those things for ourselves, we almost construct our own experience of disappointment, because we have potentially constructed this image that doesn't, we've got this idea of this is what love looks like, this is what my ideal person looks like, this is what the ideal date will look like. And so around expectations and the building blocks of expectations in the mind is certainly then the balancing side of that is the disappointment of not having the expectations met. So for me, I would do work around releasing what do those expectations look like, and then what does it feel like if we actually just let them all go. And how good does that feel, to actually just let them all go and then expand into what love really is? And maybe that person wasn't the ideal expectation of what you should find attractive, but actually maybe there's something in their eyes, something in their soul that connects with you. If you are in that, if we're talking about a love relationship, or if I'm talking about love and the self, what does self-love look like? And sometimes that that could be something that really expands a person's whole mindset, and they can create big shifts within themselves by just letting go of their expectations of love. Yeah, it's very freeing to do that, I think. And I think that would be around capabilities, is that, letting those expectations go, and seeing how that feels to just expand then from that place of the heart rather than place of the mind. Two different places.
Yeah. And so union becomes much less like something I need to go to see my therapist about this relationship I'm having. It's toxic, but it's much more about, am I capable of feeling union with things, with the divine, with myself, with a person? So I think Louise, how does the priestess of the sea, in that sense, yeah, I mean, I think one path is the oneness, that you very very specifically talk about, it, oneness with nature and with the world around you. So isn't that in a way an exercise of sacred union? Because if we focus on union being a capability we have as human beings, isn't part of the priestess, isn't it in the path of the priestess to remove those blockages maybe that don't allow us to be one, to be united with something else, that it's not our own tiny room inside our heart, isn't it?
Yeah, I really resonate with what Caroline said. It's like, how can you get out of your own way? I mean, we have so many expectations, particularly around romantic love, through the movies, exactly as you were saying, and through, novels and the way that romantic love's being constructed. And yet, actually, as priestess, we're wanting to come into connection, I think. Whether that's whether we're out walking on the land, whether that's where we're going to edge places. And I really see the sea and the shore as an edge place. So we're walking that edge place, and we're walking that line between, for me, it's very much the sort of emotional state and the mind state and the heart state. And we're walking that path and looking for where we find connection along that path. And sometimes we find it, and sometimes of course we don't, but it's always about bringing back into that awareness of connection and into that intent to want to connect. And I think, you know, Caroline's absolutely right. If we can work in a way that allows us to break down some of the barriers ourselves, that opens those portals, you know, as we were talking about, opens those portals for connection. And whether that's to the divine, whether that's to nature, whether that is to another, you know, we're just walking that path and yeah, trying to get to a point where we can connect more fully.
And that's the role of the priestess of love, really, to open the gateway to cosmic love, to have that experience. And it comes from this place for me of being in deep partnership with ourselves and with life. And yeah, and like we've just been talking about, to do that, we have to, you know, acknowledge and meet all of those places inside of ourselves where we're working against ourselves, where we're, you know, where we're actually not in acceptance of ourselves, where we're not welcoming the gift of the different places in ourselves that, you know, and we all have places in ourselves where it's difficult to welcome the gift of them. And that's really where the growth edge is for me in this experience of sacred union and opening to the force of cosmic love, to really find those edges where we are pushing against being with ourselves. And yeah, I think, you know, and I notice so much in my life where I really drop into partnership with myself. Like I have this feeling and I feel really limited and contracted. I don't like this and I don't want this. And I just invite myself to really be with that place and really hold that place and really embrace that place and really see where that place is pointing to in me. And even that simple action can often, you know, create a kind of mini eruption of the big force of love inside of myself.
So we're really talking about sacred union for the self there as like self-discovery, aren't we? That journey of self-discovery and that having that relationship with the self, in the sense of even having a conversation and with the self around this feels prickly, you know, and kind of coaching yourself almost and saying, okay, we'll just sit with it then, and what's in this, what's coming up for me in this, and all yeah.
And self-love and how really how to walk the ways of love with ourselves.
I think nature's a great awareness teacher of that, actually. You know, when we get, you know, we can be out in nature and feel that discomfort, you know, maybe it's a bit damp, raining, or maybe there's a prickle, and, you know, maybe there's all the, you know, we start out with this expectations of we're going to have this amazing experience within nature, and then nature comes up and, you know, bites us on the bum, quite literally. Sometimes, you know, you might get stung by something. And so it really is, I think, a great teacher of, you know, bringing yourself into awareness of where those points are, where you're not able to connect in the way that you want to be able to connect, and what is that inside of you that's kind of impeding that in some form. And, you know, you may not get to the bottom of what that is, but I think it's nature's, for me, is a great teacher in that respect.
So yeah, in a way, it's not all about love, meaning that it is all about love, the ultimate love, but it's sacred union is also about challenges, connection. It's about discomfort. It's about going to the uncomfortable places within. And if we look at the Goddess Conference as an event, and it's a place where we could find community and many different tools and experiences to tackle that, and to a relationship is just one example, but relationship with other people in general, family, lovers, they tend to trigger responses, reactions, blocks. And in that sense, having experiences, community experience like the Goddess Conference, where we are in a safe space and we can experience oneness or try to deepen our connection within, they become pivotal for us. So when I say nonchalantly join us for the Goddess Conference from the 10th of August, what I mean is that doing that with many different tools, many different kind of workshop activities, sacred experiences, could be the perfect place for us all to go back to that place inside where lover goddess and the love really can express who we are, and so to recover ourselves so that we can then share it with other people, relationships, and so on. Yeah, so it's not all about love, it's not all about romance, it's not all about couples, relationships, and sex. It is, of course, to an extent, but there's so much more that we can explore in the realm of sacred union. This has been inspiring, beautiful, and I thank so much Caroline Stevens,
Bye.
𝗟𝗢𝗪𝗘, Louise Daria. Thank you so much for your participation to today's panel. We'll see each other again, and we'll meet again with all the people from the YouTube and the Facebook. And I'm talking like 60-year-old grandma, the YouTube and the Facebook. So we'll see you all again in our next roundtable. Thank you so much for being with us again. Thank you so much, and see you next time.